Are you sure you want to move to Short Pump, Virginia? Well, hopefully this video is going to help you make a decision whether it's a good place or not to be.
Hey guys, thank you for visiting our channel. Once again, living in Richmond, we're going to talk to you a little bit about the pros and cons of Short Pump. But before we go any further, please do yourself a favor, hit that like and subscribe button so that you can stay up to date with everything that is evolving living in Richmond, Virginia. My name is Galen Parker. This is Jared Davis.
That's right. And if you are looking to move into the area, or if you're selling in the area, please reach out to us. We run one of the top real estate teams in Richmond. We'd love to help you relocate here, or if you're already here and you're just transitioning somewhere, we'd love to help you with that as well. So feel free to reach out to us and we'd love to help. So Galen, we're going to be talking about pros and cons of Short Pump. We've done one of these on Richmond as a whole. It's one of our most widely viewed videos, but we thought we'd break it down and do areas a little bit more specifically for those trying to drive into certain areas of Richmond. So we're going to hit our pros first, then we're going to nail down our cons. Galen, give us our first pro for Short Pump.
So one of the things that you've probably seen if you've done any research in Richmond is a lot of people talking about, like, where are the local grocery stores? And if you're thinking about that, this pro is for you. In Short Pump, it's one of the top retail hubs that you're gonna find. When people think, hey, I wanna go shopping, most often they're gonna say, hey, I want to go to Short Pump. Thinking about grocery stores, we combined a little bit of a list for you guys just so you have an idea. Jared, one of the things that stuck out in my mind, they've got a Wegmans.
A Wegmans, yep. We've got Trader Joe's. It's amazing how Trader Joe's are just taking the country by storm. Everybody wants one. So we actually have two in the Richmond area. One is in the heart of Short Pump. For some less expensive shopping, you've got Aldi, you've got Lidl, you got a Walmart. You're within range of Costco, a Sam's Club, Publix, Whole
Foods is a big one because I feel like everyone's like, hey, do you guys got a Whole Foods? We've got a Whole Foods and we've got a Fresh Market. So it's virtually everything that you could possibly imagine and eat is located conveniently in Short Pump.
That's right. We think about malls, when you think about just over the years, we've seen so many malls kind of shut down. They've kind of whittled themselves out of existence, but Short Pump is the mall, right? If you're looking in Richmond, there's a handful of malls that are still operating, but Short Pump is a huge outdoor shopping center. People walk their dogs. They've got everything from high-end shopping to mid-range shopping, so it really is a hub as far as, like Galen said, if you're going to end up going shopping.
I think we did a count as we were just trying to run through the numbers. It's like 155 stores, ancillary stores, whether it's in Short Pump or just around that perimeter, and then we're talking about multiple different spas, different locations for jewelry, different like little mom and pop little items in there as far as whether you want to get your vacuum cleaner fixed, want to buy something new, you want to look at something for like hunting and fishing. It literally has everything you want, and then we'll talk about that on the flip end later when we talk about maybe cons for that area as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right, number two, restaurants. So this is gonna be a little less mom and poppy. You're gonna have essentially all of suburbia, but you also have a lot of local restaurant groups from Richmond that set up shop in Short Pump. So just some different things. We're foodies here. If you look at our videos, we have a lot of food reviews. So some things to check out. Red Salt, local restaurant group. They have about, I don't know, 13, 14 restaurants in town. That's gonna be a sushi and chop house. You got Fogo de Chao, franchise Brazilian steakhouse. You've got Perry's, new high-end steakhouse right in front of Short Pump. Wooden Iron, local sports bar, fantastic.
Brand new. They've got some other locations, but if you've noticed, the Short Pump one got that awesome bar that they just had, imported bar top wood that was constructed in there. Also, it's interesting that Wooden Iron stays open later
2 a.m.
than all the other Wooden Iron locations. So if you're thinking a little bit of the munchies, little hungies, a little bit late at night, that's a place that you can stop by.
One of the few places that we'll get to that in cons, right? Cocky Rooster, Buttermilk and Honey, West Coast Provisions, Taza, The Daily, Yaya's, a lot of different things that you can check out. So if you're okay with kind of the more suburban, less mom and pop stop restaurants, you do have a lot of options in Short Pump.
And I just wanted to push back a little bit as we go back to like Fogo de Chao. A lot of people are probably thinking like, what in the world is Fogo de Chao? So kind of think of it like this. If you've ever been to like Texas Day, Brazil, I had the opportunity to go to their soft open a couple of months ago, and I loved every bit about it. Wonderful customer service. I left out feeling stuffed and happy. So give that place a nice little check. We haven't done a review there. Maybe we'll do like a food review. We'll go down there and kind of give you guys our insights, man on the street insights as far as how you can eat there in Shore Pump.
All the meat you can eat. All right, number 3, Galen,
Yeah.
what we got?
So number 3, as realtors, we don't really comment too much about it, but we get this question all the time. Well, what are the schools like? Which are the schools? What we can tell you is that they are some of the top rated schools in the local area when we're thinking about Henrico, especially that western side of it. So some of the schools that you're going to see, we pulled out a little bit of the high school. So you got Deep Run, you've got Glen Allen, you got Godwin. So if you're thinking about, well, what is the high school like? Feel free, maybe we'll even put a link in there for some of the websites that we use to evaluate and why they are top rated. We are the source of the source. We're not going to tell you, but we kind of point you in the right direction.
All right, easy enough. I'm gonna let you have that one. I got nothing to add on the schools. The last one for pros, it's really gonna be some of the best neighborhoods you're gonna find in all of Richmond. Again, this is gonna be more of suburbia. This is not the city of Richmond. Walkthroughs actually on Shore Pump. We have a walkthrough video if you find that, where we're actually going to some of these places. This one is more of just key facts that we're driving into a video while we sit here. But when you look at neighborhoods, some to think about are going to be Wyndham, you've got Wellesley, Vauxhall, Bokova, Twin Hickory. You got a lot of others, but those are going to be some of your tops. You want to look into these because a lot of these things, some of them like Wyndham are a planned use development where you have, you know, all of your schools right there. You've got your country club right there, the Dominion Club. You've got trails, you've got water, you've got, you know, community pool. You've got all of this stuff. These are some neighborhoods where people really are just really attracted to. If you already live in Richmond, typically if you're going to be in Shore Pump, these are going to be neighborhoods that are going to be top of list. So feel free to Google these. Again, what you're getting is the package of having all of your shopping in the area, your restaurants in the area, your good schools in the area, your great neighborhoods in the area. It's a community that you can be in without having to go directly into the city and without being stuck out into the country. Anything on neighborhoods, Galen?
You know, I think if you're looking in some of these areas and you want a little more detail, feel free to reach out to Jared or myself, and we can kind of even link you up with maybe like a walkabout tour of some of the areas if you're looking to buy. Also, if you're living in this area and unfortunately you're thinking, hey, I've got to move out of this area for whatever reason, reach out to us. We can help you sell your property. When we look at Shore Pump as a whole, amenity rich is something that keeps coming to our mind. We drive through these areas pretty often. You're going to see people walking out, lots of exercise. A lot of people, I mentioned, they love the trees. So there's some older sections where there's maybe not as much new construction, but you see like a lot of shade. There's a lot of parks. I wrote down, for me, Jared always teases me, I love being out in the parks. I got Tuckahoe Creek, Deep Run Park, Shore Pump Park, Put Crump Park, Deep Bottom Park, like all of these places. A great opportunity to kind of get out in the area. And one of the fun facts that Jared and I were talking about, which I did not know this, he didn't know this either, we wrote down that in the city or in the county of Henrico, if for whatever reason you're driving around, maybe we'll highlight that a second portion of that in the cons. If you're in a traffic accident, you need to go to the hospital, Henrico County is one of the few counties in the Richmond Metro that offers free ambulance. So they're not going to send you a massive bill if you get an ambulance ride to an Henrico County hospital. Now, for me, hopefully you guys will never have to even realize that or even stumble upon that, but that it was interesting to find out that that is one of the amenities that they really highlight and they kind of tell a lot of people about. So that's maybe a little bit of a plus side for you guys.
There you go. All right, cons. Number one, first and foremost, I think this goes to the top by a landslide, is the traffic in Shore Pump. Now, if you are coming from Northern Virginia, if you're coming from New York, if you're coming from Houston, if you're coming from some of these other big major cities, you're gonna laugh at us for even mentioning this as traffic. But the reality is that this is one of the most traffic-filled areas in Richmond come rush hour. There's really only one good interchange getting off of Interstate 64 onto Broad Street, where you're coming into Shore Pump Village, you're coming into the grocery shopping, you're coming into the mall, and it does back up. I live about I don't know, let's call it 12 minutes away from Short Pump right this second, but a little more on the rural side, just to be able to get out of that day-to-day traffic. But it is going to be one of those things that if you're commuting to work, if you're commuting home from work, you are going to essentially be in, not necessarily gridlock, but just keep in mind,
be patient.
It's a slow roll down that. Or holiday season, right? Come Christmas time when everybody's doing their shopping, you know, just forget about it.
So that's an inverse of that pro where you said, hey, this is a shopping hub. Maybe the con of that traffic is it's a shopping hub.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to get through there quickly during probably let's say Black Friday to the end of the year, you're gonna have a lot of patience.
Yep.
Maybe think about some workarounds. Maybe you hop on the highway and kind of circumvent all of that. So Jared, that's a good one. I know Jared, when he goes to the gym, he just closes his eyes, says the silent prayer, and gets across Broad Street.
It's a hard merge. It's a hard merge from 64 off to Short Pump Village. You got about 300 feet to get across 4 lanes and gridlock, and you know.
This is the man on the street information that you guys are going to need to know, because you probably wouldn't have thought about that, but since Jared and I were driving through these areas pretty often, that comes to mind, and we want to make sure you guys are aware of that as a con.
Yeah, if you go to ACAC, the gym, it's actually one of the best gyms to check out in the area in all of Central Virginia, so make sure you check out ACAC.
Hang out on the rooftop.
Rooftop pool, rooftop bar, rooftop hot tub, really cool gym, so check that out. Second, con.
Go for it.
Short Pump really is a suburban hub. So because it's not a part of really Richmond City, you're not going to get the nightlife that you're going to get in the city. Not many things are going to be open very late at night. You're going to be lacking basic breweries. I'm not saying you don't have some breweries within about a 10 to 15 minute drive, but there's nothing right within Short Pump. And then one of the biggest cons for me is no real coffee shops, right? Now, we don't mean Starbucks.
There's 50,000 Starbucks.
There's 48 within about 100 feet. You can actually walk into a Starbucks and get into another Starbucks somehow. It's insane. But the reality is that if you're like me, I love to travel, and when I go to new cities and I go to new places, I love finding the local coffee shops. I love being able to sit in a cafe, whether it's in America, whether it's in Europe, whatever it may be. And Short Pump just doesn't really have that. Now, there's gonna be some coffee shops within a drive now. I actually wrote some down and I can't find them, but I'll name them off. Ironclad, great city location. They are just south of Short Pump for one of their locations. Brick Road, that's one that's opened in the last year or two. They're gonna be a little bit farther down Broad, but they're good. And then Cafe Espresso, that's been one that's been around for years, and it's right off of Gaskins and Route 6. So you have some to drive to, but if you're in Short Pump and you're thinking, man, I want to go sit at a cafe and lounge, or I want to be able to run into a coffee shop before I go to work in the morning, you're probably not going to have that option. So again, it is going to be less of your mom and pop shops, more of your big major.
And that's good to know, because for a guy like me, I wake up naturally caffeinated, so I don't really drink a lot of coffee. It is nice to know, like, all right, where can I go and where can't I go? I get overwhelmed. When I go to Starbucks, I immediately get a stress migraine because I don't know what they're saying. I don't understand the sizes. I don't understand the drinks. So knowing what is available is super helpful. So thank you, Jared. I like that.
All right, 3.
Let's go to number 3, and as we've talked about, this will be the inverse of the pros. We're talking about competitive schools now. Obviously, when people come to us and say, hey, what are the schools like? We point them in the right direction as far as what the rankings are. But one of the things that I notice as a data perspective nerd, and so what does that mean? It means that I look at a lot of the facts and figures, and then I want to see some of the context of why people voted certain ways. They mention that while they love the great schools, top tier, top ranked, they're kind of competitive. So if you've got a student who's trying to maybe stand out from the pack, it's a little bit of a challenge. So maybe you take that as a challenge and say, yes, I want my student to work harder so that they can separate themselves. But when everyone is doing pretty much straight A's, you got to do straight A+++ to really stand out in that area. So that can be a con for certain people depending on what your family goals are. But that was something that I saw in the comments and some of the contextual notes that people left. They're like, hey, we love the schools, but it was hard for getting junior to kind of like stand out in the pack as far as when it comes to SATs, SOLs, and thinking about what they're going to do with their life down the road. So there you go. Having a great school, who would have thought there would be a con?
Yep. Next one, number 4. We talked about how great the neighborhoods are. The issue with that, the downside sometimes is that, one, your price points are going to be higher than most places in Richmond, right? You get down into Midlothian and Chesterfield, another very desirable area, one that you should look into. We have a lot of videos on that too, but you're typically going to get more bang for your buck in those areas just because of how expensive Wyndham and some of these other neighborhoods are. Also, with that pricing typically comes more competitive offers, right? People coming in with cash, people waiving inspections, people waiving appraisals. And what we've seen in the market is while some areas have inventory that's sitting a little longer, maybe you can get a little bit more of a deal, there's other areas where we're seeing stuff still go for $30, $40, $50, $100,000 over asking price. And it's very neighborhood specific. So it's not to say that's everything in Shore Pump or it's everything in a certain area, but you are more prone, because this is one of the hotter commodity areas in all of Richmond, that most likely, as of this video right now, everything can change overnight, but right this second in the current market, it's probably going to be pretty competitive. So just get ready for that if you reach out to us. That it's going to be a push. Last con, number 5.
So I was looking at, as Jared mentioned, you see the trend. There's not a lot of mom and pop coffee shops. There's not a ton of mom and pop restaurants in Shore Pump. Now, as we mentioned before, there's some excellent local Richmond restaurant groups that we definitely love to patronize and things like that. But as far as, you're not going to see it maybe as compared to Richmond. There's going to be like smaller little one-offs that are highly rated, whether it's all of them down East Coast and Shore Pump. You don't see that as much, but some people think that as a pro because they think, hey, I like to live in one area, and they view it as maybe a night out when they get to travel maybe to the city and enjoy some of that nightlife.
Galen, how far away is the city from most of Shore Pump?
For most of the Shore Pump, you're going to be within like 30 minutes, probably even less.
Yeah.
And now, depending on traffic, as we mentioned as one of our cons, even getting to the highway can be a challenge. But almost, I think everything in Richmond, you're basically within like 30 minutes. You can probably get there. So don't stress out if you're coming from a major city. You're thinking, oh, it's got to be an hour commute to something. You're not going to see that in Shore Pump.
That's it. And when you're in the city, there's not a ton of traffic either. So just keep in mind, you're getting to live in suburbia. You're in a top retail hub. You've got top schools. You've got top neighborhoods. You're still less than 30 minutes from the city when you want to go down and have a nice fancy meal or a nice mom and pop meal, or you want to visit, the river, any of that stuff, right? So it is one of the top areas in town to live.
As we close this out, there's likely that we missed some of the pros and some of the cons. I noticed in our Living in Richmond, Virginia pros and cons, you guys had some great insights. Keep it positive about the area. We would love to hear a bit more from you.
That's it. So comment below, let us know what you like. Reach out to us if we can help you relocate to Richmond. We're helping so many people from YouTube, so we're so happy you're finding us. Thanks for watching. This is another video of Living in Richmond. Like, subscribe, reach out to us, and we look forward to hearing from you.